What's a brand promise and why is keeping one important if you want to grow fast? Find out today.
That caused us to go, wait a sec, we need to figure out what role we're playing in people's lives. And so we did more research, bigger, deeper dive research with the world at large, not just our members, to find out what we needed to be. And we arrived at the brand promise of movie enjoyment made easy.
In this episode of Growing Brands, you'll learn how to create a compelling brand promise and why keeping that promise is so important to brand growth. We'll also quiz your knowledge using examples from household names like Apple, Disney, and Burger King. Plus, we've got special guest Barry Enderwick to share with us what he learned about the Netflix brand promise when he was driving growth at the streaming service turned production company. Stay tuned. First, what exactly is a brand promise? While there isn't a shared textbook definition in the branding world, there is general agreement about what a brand promise isn't. Unlike your brand's unique value proposition, which is the thing that sets you apart from your competitors, your brand promise is the resulting feeling customers get because they chose your brand. Unlike a brand's mission and vision, which are focused on employees, a brand promise focuses on customers. And unlike taglines, which are always customer-facing, brand promises aren't usually explicitly used in marketing content or advertising copy. And so, what is a brand promise? A brand promise is the positive feeling or outcome that consumers can expect when they experience the brand. And brand promises are so important because when kept, they can help build trust with customers, which leads to brand growth and revenue growth. According to the Disney Institute, a good brand promise is important, credible, exclusive, and differentiating. Keep these principles in mind as you create your own brand promise as a way to test its strength and how well it fits with your brand. Let's cement your knowledge with the brand promises of some household names to make the concept even more clear. All right, first let's start with an easy one, to think different. The company? Apple. Next up, the brand promise, to serve your food your way. That's pretty easy. It's Burger King. Here's another one, to provide magical experiences. The answer? It's Disney. The next brand promise? To perform responsibly as a leading global company. If you guessed Samsung, you're right. And last but not least, to refresh the world and inspire moments of optimism and uplift. Kind of a mouthful, but the answer? Coca-Cola. Now that we know what a brand promise is and why they're so important, let's take a look at how to actually deliver on that promise. For that, I interviewed Barry Enderwick on Growing Brands. Barry is the co-founder and partner of marketing and brand at Kaizen Creative Partnership. I asked him about his time at Netflix and how the brand's promise impacted subscriber acquisition efforts during the fastest period of growth in the company's history. So, how important is brand in general to a company's go-to-market strategy?
The answer to that question is depends, right? So if you're an early company that's trying to find product market fit, just like you don't want to necessarily invest in marketing, investing in brand is kind of a waste of time. You have to have an established, even if it's a small base of happy customers that you can then scale, because marketing is a scaling mechanism and brand is important, but if you're in that stage, it's not important. And in fact, at Netflix, when I first got to Netflix, we had a brand promise that was, from my understanding, made up in-house. And we worked using that for about 3 or 4 years. And then we did research around what our brand position should actually be, and then pivoted to that. So I think brand is critical for companies to understand what role they play in people's lives, but it also depends on what stage the company's at.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think to that end as well, a lot of times brands, especially in the early days while they're trying to find product market fit, the actual growth marketers that are doing that are hesitant to kind of experiment with the brand or make assumptions about the brand because they feel like, that's kind of not their place because it's more of the branding, team to do that maybe. But
Right.
I like your suggestion of, kind of taking your best guess for maybe the first couple of years until you've got that product market fit, and then doing that next round of research to make sure that that you really nail the brand positioning as you grow. So, how can you tell whether a company is delivering on its brand promise, and what signs or indicators do you tell people to look for?
Well, based on my experience at Netflix, which is, admittedly a unique business model, it's still subscription, but we would do things like customer surveys, member surveys to kind of take the pulse of our brand. And also you take a look at churn and you do exit surveys. And so you just sort of keep these pulse checks going at all times to see if something's not matching up with what you're trying to put out there. And in fact, one of the things that led to us doing that repositioning research in 2004, 2005 was we did a survey with our members and asked them what they thought of us. And our brand position up until that point was the best way to rent DVDs, which sounds great, it's got best in it. But when we surveyed our members, they basically came back and said, you're an efficient vending machine, which from a brand standpoint is terrible because anybody can build an efficient vending machine. They can build a more efficient one, a better stock, whatever. So then that caused us to go, wait a sec, we need to figure out what role we're playing in people's lives. And so we did more research, bigger, deeper dive research with the world at large, not just our members, to find out what we needed to be. And we arrived at the brand promise of movie enjoyment made easy. Because everything about seeing a movie was kind of a pain. You had to get in your car to go to the theater and spend lots of money, or you had to get in your car and go to the Blockbuster or the video rental store, and then you had to get back in time because late fees. Nothing about movie enjoyment was easy. So if we could pay that off, we'd have something there.
Okay, that's great. So the Netflix brand promise was movie enjoyment made easy. So let's unpack that a little bit more. So how did it influence company decisions at the time, and how did that lead to growth for not just the product, but also acquisition of customers and the brand as well?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because once you have that sort of like flag that you're all paying attention to of the brand promise, you can start to influence what kind of decisions you make on product, customer service, marketing. So for example, at the time, we did what every subscription company has done, and some continue to do, which is mind-blowing, and that is call to cancel. And that is painful. Everyone hates it. So we moved to 2 clicks on the website to cancel. And on our exit surveys, likelihood to recommend and likelihood to return rates shot up. People couldn't believe that they were just you can go ahead and quit and come back when you want to. And it worked. People did start coming. They would quit for whatever reason, like the summer's there and they weren't going to be watching DVDs because they're going to be traveling a lot, and then they'd come back in the fall. And it all drove towards that movie enjoyment made easy. In the ops area of the company, we built out a network of hubs and mini hubs across the country. And that allowed people to get their DVDs in 1 business day via the United States Postal Service, which I can tell you right now, would not have happened organically. So, decisions like that were made for movie enjoyment made easy. How do we pay that off? So in the marketing, what we thought of is, what are the different themes that we have that support movie enjoyment made easy? Well, there's price, there's a free trial, low price, it's unlimited, process. You pick your movies online, they get delivered to you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to get in the car and do anything. Trust, we've been doing it for X number of years. We've delivered over 1 billion DVDs so far. So you come up with these themes, you start to develop benefit-driven headlines, and then you have support points that you use, and you apply it consistently. And the other thing is, and we're not talking about brand attributes, but I feel I need to bring this up. Our brand attributes, which supported the brand promise, also guided decisions on like what font to use. Like I chose the font Gotham back in 2004 because it was very strong but friendly. Right, it aligned with our brand attributes to support the brand promise, and illustration styles, all that kind of stuff, kind of tie all in together. So then, what happens is you get this cohesive brand in the consumer's mind, and everything we're talking about in marketing, movie enjoyment made easy. We're paying it off in our ops. We're paying it off in our service.
That's great. So there's a lot of cascading benefits that start with the brand promise out into other brand attributes, and ultimately that supports the customer acquisition plan, the company growth plan, kind of everything. So Barry Enderwick, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Happy to do it. Thanks for having me.
If you like this episode, take a few seconds to subscribe. Or you can head to the blog for a free worksheet on how to craft the perfect brand promise. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter, which contains exclusive brand measurement and growth tips that will help your brand become the market leader. Now it's your turn. What's your favorite brand promise and why? Is it one of the examples that we shared, or is it from a different brand altogether? Let me know by leaving a comment real quick before you go. Is it recording? Should you, oh boy. Just be, mixed message. Why can't I say that? Flank steaks. Oh, you script thingy. Would you go back in time and make sure that I didn't say it that way? Thank you.